I looked outside. What did I see? A little bird. He looked at me. I lured him close. With a piece of bread. And then I smashed. His little head. The moral of the story is. You want some head. You need some bread. Right turn. Huh.
Everybody knows that the dice are loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows that the good guys lost. Everybody knows the fight was fierce. The poor stay poor, the rich get rich. That's how it goes. Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows that the boat is leaking. Everybody knows that the captain lied. Everybody got that broken feeling, like their father or their dog just died. Everybody talking to their pockets. Everybody want a box of chocolates and a long stem rose. Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows that you love me, baby. Everybody knows that you really do. Everybody knows that you've been faithful, give or take a night or two. Everybody knows you've been discreet, but there were so many people you just had to meet without your clothes. Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. That's how it goes. Yeah, everybody knows. And everybody knows. Everybody knows. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. And everybody knows that it's now or never. Everybody knows that it's me or you. Everybody knows you live forever when you've gone and done a line or two. Everybody knows the deal is rotten. Old Black Joe still picking cotton for your ribbons and bows. Yeah, everybody knows. And everybody knows that the plague is coming. Everybody knows that it's moving fast. Everybody knows that the naked man and woman are just a shining artifact of the past. Everybody knows the scene is dead, but there's gonna be a meter on your bed that will disclose what everybody knows. Everybody knows that you're in trouble. Everybody knows what you've been through. From the bloody cross on top of Calvary to the beach of Malibu. Everybody knows it's coming apart. Take one last look at this sacred heart before it blows. Yeah, everybody knows.
I looked outside. What did I see? A little bird. He looked at me. I lured him close. With a piece of bread. And then I smashed. His little head.
Well, hello and welcome to another Restore UK Live. As you'll probably notice, for some reason or other, my camera doesn't seem to be working, but I think that we can have a look at that as we go, and we can perhaps sort that out. Welcome everyone to our screen. Now, in the meantime, I would like to ask the people that is on the live chat if they could give us a like, to give us a love, to give us a share. We're going out to the Facebook channels, which is Restore UK, also to the British Unionist People's Voice. That's also on Facebook. We're going out to the YouTube channel, which is Restore UK, and also to Restore UK. That's on Twitter. So if you're on any of those channels, I would like to ask you to share this channel far and wide. Share this screen far and wide, in order that what we can do is that we can attract as many people as humanly possible, and in order that we can press home the message that we're here to press home. So please share the channel. If you're new to the channel, if you would like to make it known by putting something into the live chat there, and that way we can get to invite you to the channel at a later stage. Now, what I would like to do before that we get started here, and for the people that has just came and hasn't actually understood what I'd said in the first instance, is that for some reason or other, I have a slight little problem with my camera, but I'm sure I'll be able to sort that out as I go. So here we go. I'm going to get this out of the road before that we start, and in order that the numbers can go up. It takes a wee while to get the numbers sufficient so that we can move on with exactly what it is that we're here to do. So I would like to ask people, I mean, if you come and you follow us here at Restore UK regularly, well, you'll know that what we're involved in is that we're involved in several areas in where that we need to highlight things, we need to fight things, we need to ensure that British unionism remains strong here in Northern Ireland. And well, as you understand, I mean, Restore UK published and produced from Northern Ireland. Well, we're the only channel here in Northern Ireland that continuously presents a show on a Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock, and we're the only people, I would say, within unionism here in Northern Ireland that does this consistently on behalf of people. And well, as most of you will know, the amount of things that we've exposed over the days, the weeks, and the months, and even the years that has gone by. So I'd like to ask each and every one that is on the channel this evening, and to the people that will come for in the future to watch this stream, I mean, if you can help our work, I would like for you to click on that little PayPal link, and if you could donate, it doesn't matter how much, because every little helps. Just by clicking on that PayPal link. You'll find that PayPal link on the Restore UK on Facebook. You'll find it on the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, and you'll also find it on the YouTube channel. So again, if you can help our work, that would be absolutely marvelous. There we go. We've got our picture back, which is always good to see. So again, once again, welcome to the people that has came to the stream. And again, I'm going to ask for just one more little effort to tag people into the live chat and to share this screen far and wide, in order that we can help as many people as possible, as humanly possible, come to see what it is that we're doing here on Restore UK. So I'm just looking across at the YouTube channel at the minute. And yes, fair enough, there's people there on the YouTube channel, which is always good to see. And we'll just check Twitter there. And again, with some viewers on Twitter there also. So to all those channels, share our stream as far and as wide as possible. And don't forget, if you can help our work, pop a few pound into that PayPal link, and that will be gratefully appreciated. Well, as you know, that we're on our way to the Supreme Court on the 30th of November and also on the 1st of December, and that is to have the case heard with reference to the fight against the Northern Ireland Protocol, the constitutional changing, what I like to call an EU protocol that has been thrust upon us, separating us from the rest of the United Kingdom in a totally undemocratic way. So why do I say that it's undemocratic? Well, for this simple reason is that there is four constituent parts in the United Kingdom, and England, Scotland, and Wales are being treated completely differently than the people of Northern Ireland. And yet the people of Northern Ireland, well, we form part of that 17.4 plus million people who voted in that Brexit referendum, and our democracy, it has been denied. And why has it been denied? Well, it has been denied because that there is an appeasement process. There is the placation of IRA terrorism. There is well, they'll give the IRA anything that they want in order to keep them from going back to their guns and their bombs. And, well, even if that means separating Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. So we intend fighting this legally. We went to a judicial review. We went to the Court of Appeal to do with the judicial review. And whilst that the judges, well, they found that our arguments were strong and they were right, well, what they said at that time was that well, the British government, the Parliament in Westminster, they're sovereign, and therefore the parliamentary sovereignty would override anything to do with, well, no matter what it was democracy, or no matter what it was to do with even the moral principle here is that in a democracy, when three constituent parts gets that democracy delivered, you would expect that the other one constituent part would also be afforded that same democracy. So we've had our democracy removed. And whilst that our arguments were upheld in the judicial review, the appeal to the judicial review, and the Article 6 of the Act of the Union, it has been changed in order to make all of this possible. And that is a key cornerstone of the United Kingdom. Well, whilst our arguments are right, well, I believe that in Belfast it was above their pay grade to make any decision on the matter. So it pushed on through to the Supreme Court, and we're at the Supreme Court again on the 30th of November and on the 1st of December. And what we're looking for, and the reason why that PayPal link is on the screen, is that we're looking for people to help fund us to do this. Now, you're not actually funding the case. We're not asking for any money to do with the case. But what we are asking for a little help with is that so that we can bring a team of people to the Supreme Court in London, and that we can spend a few days and we can report directly from the Supreme Court on exactly what is going on. So we at Restore are advising in this case that is fighting your corner at that Supreme Court on the 30th of November and on the 1st of December this year. So if you can help, please do click on that link and put a few pounds in. Look, it's really, really good to see that we've got quite a few people on our screen this evening. And, you know, again, that's a testament to what it is that we have done and to what it is that we continuously do, you know, day in, day out, week in, week out, across the years that we've been broadcasting here on Restore UK. So what I actually want to do here, people, is that I want to literally go into my settings here, and I'm going to pop something up behind me on the wall here. And whenever you see this screen, I would like to just basically explain the name of the screen and why that it is that we're entitling this stream in such a way. So here we go. It doesn't seem to be working. I don't know. We're having some sort of technical problems here. Let me just try that again. Here we go again. No. We're having some technical issues here to do with the software, the broadcast software that we use. But look, we'll move on anyway. And well, I mean, the screen, we can live without the background behind me. And I don't exactly know what's going on. So we've entitled this screen Normalcy Bias. And the question to be asked is who's guilty and who does it affect? Now, what is normalcy bias? That is Normalcy. Normalcy bias. What is it? It's a psychological term which is used. Well, let's go to Wikipedia and let's have a look at Wikipedia. And what we'll try to do is we'll try to read from Wikipedia in order that people can understand exactly what it is that we're striking at here. So here we go. Just bear with us for a sec, and we'll get this up. Okay, so in front of you, what you'll see is you'll see a Wikipedia listing of what a normalcy bias actually is. So I'm going to begin reading here from Wikipedia. Normalcy bias or normality bias is a cognitive bias which leads people to disbelieve or minimize threat warnings. Consequently, individuals underestimate the likelihood of a disaster when it might affect them and its potential adverse effects. The normalcy bias caused many people to not adequately prepare for natural disasters, say, for example, market crises, calamities caused by human error. About 70% of the people reportedly display normalcy bias during a disaster. The normalcy bias can manifest in response to warnings about disasters and catastrophes. Such disasters include market crashes, motor vehicle accidents, natural disasters like a tsunami or a war. Normalcy bias has been called analysis paralysis, the ostrich effect, and by first responders, the negative panic. The opposite of normalcy bias is overreaction or worst case scenario bias, in which small deviations from normality are dealt with as signals of an impending catastrophe. So I just took that down. Normalcy bias, let me give you that in layman's terms, is that the normalcy bias is a situation in where that there is a huge problem facing people right now, not just in the United Kingdom, but certainly in the Western world. But what we're going to do this evening is that we're going to bring that down to our own United Kingdom. Now, I say the United Kingdom, and when I say the United Kingdom, I mean England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And there's a huge problem that is facing us as unionists within that United Kingdom. And yet, some of our politicians, they are not actually seeing the problems that are coming down our road. Now, some of us have tried to warn our politicians, and yet our politicians, they don't seem to be listening. Now, in the media, let's take this down another notch, and let's take this from a United Kingdom wide approach, and let's take this right down to Northern Ireland, and let's try to understand what it is that's happening by way of the representatives that we have. That would be the representatives from within the DUP hierarchy, and we believe that these people are displaying the traits, the symptoms of this normalcy bias, in where that they're failing to recognize a huge problem that, if left unchecked, if that it's not dealt with, it has the ability to remove Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. It also would have the ability to, by extension, break up the entire United Kingdom. And I try to comprehend that, try to contemplate what it is that I'm actually saying here, is that the United Kingdom, as a result of the inactions, the inabilities, the unwillingness perhaps of our politicians, the people that we elect, well, as a result of their failure to recognize the problems that lay on the other side of them doing nothing, well, they could, by by extension, they could break up the entire United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is the main battlefront against this constitutional changing protocol bill, which you hear about in the news regularly. And, whilst that we are the main battlefront, our generals in this war against the breakup of the United Kingdom, well, they don't seem to be understanding what it is that needs to be done in order to save the United Kingdom. So this is why we're here this evening. Now, I have to say that I'm toning my language down here. I'm trying not to go too harsh. I'm trying not to point fingers in a way that is well, in a way that really castigates anyone. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to impress upon people the need for ordinary people to stand up against our own politicians in order that we drive home this message, and we drive it home in a very, very clear way, that unless they get up off their knees, unless that they mount a proper fight back, well, unless they do that, that not only will Northern Ireland be removed from the United Kingdom, but by extension, the breakup of the United Kingdom will occur. Now, some would say, why would that happen? Let me explain. You see, this protocol bill that is going through the Lords right now, and I'm going to say that our saving grace is that the protocol bill might not see the light of day, and I would be very, very happy with that. And that is to save our politicians from themselves. And I'm not talking about politicians on a lower level. I'm talking about the leadership specifically of the DUP. Because what I see from the DUP is that I see a willingness to drive this protocol bill through the Lords in the hope that it won't be watered down. And well, I believe that this has already been signed up to in principle. And if it is signed up to in a formal way, then what happens is that will be a full and final settlement for the entire United Kingdom. Now, let me expand on that. Let me explain exactly what it is that I'm saying. Is that a full and final settlement would mean that once that protocol bill would be ratified, and I really hope that it doesn't see the light of day and that it is never ratified, but if it were to be ratified, if the willingness of the DUP hierarchy to ratify that bill actually occurred, well, you see, that would be seen as a full and final settlement for Northern Ireland. And the consequences of ratifying that protocol bill is this, is that the border that exists between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland would have effectively been lifted, would have effectively been transplanted, would have effectively been placed in Larne, in Belfast, and in Warrenpoint at the ports. And well, that would be done in a permanent way. And once we give that ground, once we are pulled in this tug of war like fashion to the place whereby that bill would be ratified, well, that is rope, that is ground, that is a border having been permanently transplanted somewhere else that we are never, ever, ever going to be able to turn around. And by extension, that once that bill would be ratified, full and final settlement, you see, Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, the SNP, they are waiting to do exactly the same. They are waiting to demand that Scotland would have exactly the same. And well, that would be the breakup of the United Kingdom in its embryonic form. So this normalcy bias that I speak about is that, and I am saying that the DUP hierarchy from Jeffrey Donaldson downward, they have agreed this protocol bill in principle, and should it pass, well, they will sign up to it. Make no mistake, they will sign up to it, and they will sign up to something that, well, will do the United Kingdom a huge amount of harm. And I just often wonder, are they recognizing that this is the case? Are they recognizing the damage that they could do to the United Kingdom? Or are they blocking this out, as we explained what normalcy bias actually is, in where that they're failing to recognize the dangers of a huge disaster that is waiting to happen. And what they're doing is that they're focusing on the good stuff from within the protocol bill and blocking out the bad stuff, which would ultimately break up the United Kingdom. So we really, really need to push at our politicians. We really, really need to lobby them. We need to stand against them if necessary. Now, we'll watch this protocol bill as it goes through the Lords. I don't think that it's going to get through. I could be wrong, but if it did happen to get through, we really, really need to get out, and we really, really need to protest against these politicians, and we need to protest them against them in a way that, well, we wouldn't turn those protests off. You know, we may end up actually fighting with our own politicians here, and I'm not talking about in a physical way, but you see, sometimes some things are worth standing up for. And when it comes to the loss of the entire United Kingdom as a result of ill thought through plans, when it comes to that, well, as I say, some things sometimes are worth actually standing up for. So, what I want to do is that I want to now take people through a little succession of video clips of quotes from people like in influence to do with this protocol bill. And really, what I want to try to do is that I want to show people the grave situation that we face as a result of this protocol bill, and the very fact that our own politicians are displaying this trait called normalcy bias towards this huge pending danger. So, to play us off with a first clip, now this was Jeffrey Donaldson just a few days ago at the DUP party conference. And I want people to listen to Jeffrey's words as he would speak on the protocol bill and his intentions, the DUP's intentions with reference this bill. Now, we'll play on, and we'll come back after this little video clip has been played.
During the election campaign, we were honest with the electorate that the protocol represented an existential threat to the future of Northern Ireland's place within the Union, and that it must be replaced by arrangements that fully restored Northern Ireland's place within the UK internal market. The strong mandate that we received in the election has caused others to recognise the validity of our position and to act. As such, we welcomed and supported the introduction of the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill at Westminster. If fully enacted, this legislation has the potential to provide the solution that will free Northern Ireland from the grip of the protocol and restore our rights as British citizens to trade freely with the rest of our own nation under Article 6 of the Acts of Union. We also meet at a time when the UK government has recommenced talks with the EU on the protocol. As a party, we welcome those talks and we wish those involved well. The issue of which route is travelled, whether the talks with the EU are successful or whether the protocol bill at Westminster becomes law, is not actually the dominant question. For us, what is important is the reach. So let me be clear. Either the Prime Minister delivers the provisions of the protocol bill by legislation or by negotiation and ensures that our place in the United Kingdom is, or there will be no basis to re-enter Stormont.
Now, this is the point where I have to come back, because what you're seeing in front of you, and again, this isn't an attack on fellow unionists. This is me merely appealing to other unionists, the broader family of unionism. And this is me asking people to understand that I don't think that, with due respect, that Jeffrey Donaldson is getting things right. I don't think that the DUP hierarchy are getting things right. In fact, I think, as I said earlier, if you've been watching, this terminology called normalcy bias, I don't think that they're recognizing the huge and pending danger that sits in front of us should we accept this protocol bill. Now, I'm just going to reverse this little video clip back a tad in order that we can listen to Jeffrey's words again. And before that we go, I will paraphrase on those words. And those words, in those words, Jeffrey suggests that that Liz Truss delivers the provisions in the protocol bill through negotiation with the EU or via the bill. If she does that, well, let's listen to Jeffrey, and then we'll come back and we'll stop for a second or two. So here we go.
At Westminster becomes law is not actually the dominant question. For us, what is important is the reach. So let me be clear. Either the Prime Minister delivers the provisions of the protocol bill by legislation or by negotiation and ensures that our place in the United Kingdom is, or there will be no basis to re-enter Stormont.
So what Jeffrey just said there, that he wants Liz Truss to deliver the protocol bill by negotiation or through legislation, and our place in the United Kingdom is restored, or there will be no basis for Stormont. Now, note, and it's worth noting, that Jeffrey Donaldson is hanging his hat on this protocol bill. And the protocol bill does not restore Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. They're far from it. Absolutely far from it. So why is Jeffrey using these words? Either the Prime Minister delivers the protocol bill through legislation or through negotiations. Why is he saying the protocol bill? Why is Jeffrey not saying, and again I say this with respect, why is he not saying that the protocol must go? That a border of any kind, whether that be in the sea, and we've learned this week, whether that even be on the land, in the land of Northern Ireland, or in the land of England, Scotland, or Wales, whether that be within the UK internal market, well, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to have an internal border at the request of the EU, slap bang in the middle of the United Kingdom. And that has to be, for every single unionist here in Northern Ireland, that has to be a deal breaker. That has to be something that is worth fighting against. And yet we have our political leaders in the DUP at the DUP party conference suggesting that Liz Truss would have to deliver the provisions in the protocol bill, which doesn't go far enough. So I wonder, does Jeffrey understand this? I wonder, do the people in the DUP, namely the strategists, the special advisors, I wonder, do they not know which simple people like ourselves actually know? I wonder, do they not have the legal advice that we have? I wonder, do they not understand the clear and pending danger that will exist the moment that protocol bill is actually ratified? Now, the saving grace for us as unionists is that this protocol bill looks as if that it won't actually see the light of day. Well, it could even happen. It could transpire that Liz Truss will do a deal with the EU that will be a watered down version of what's in the protocol bill. Now, again, this is of huge significance to unionism here in Northern Ireland. The DUP right now, and I can say this without fear of contradiction, they find themselves isolated, totally isolated on this subject, because even the people that were promoting their protocol bill with bullet points way back whenever the protocol bill was mooted in the first reading in the Parliament, whenever Boris Johnson would have written about what was going to be in the protocol bill a lot of months ago, well, even the people that were the first responders and the promoters and the selling points or the selling people of this DUP climb down position, well, even those people have now come to a realization that the protocol doesn't go far enough. The protocol bill will not remove the border in the sea. The protocol bill will not remove the need for EU customs checks. The protocol bill will not reinstate Northern Ireland as fully fledged members of the United Kingdom. You know, we could go on and on and on and on. In fact, if the protocol bill is even ratified, it's an enabling bill. Well, Article 26 from within that bill, it'll tell you that for an order that 1 to 20 can even come into existence, a Westminster MP has to take it back through the Parliament again. And remember these words: it is a snakes and letters bill. Who knows what a snakes and letters board looks like? In where that you progress up to number 99. And if you land in 99, you're back down the snake and you're back to square one again. Well, you see, imagine coming down that snake 20 times over to try to get those 20 things which don't go far enough even enacted. You know, you think it appears that you're progressing, but you're not. It is smoke and mirrors. It is the illusion of moving forward. It is a bill which is intended on getting certain people off a hook. It is a bill which is intended to bluff ordinary people from within the unionist community. And no self-respecting unionist could ever accept this protocol bill as a full and final settlement in a democracy in where that they were actually left out. And also with that, by accepting that protocol bill, what you're doing is you're putting in place the breakup of the entire United Kingdom. So there's where we stand. Now, let's listen on to Jeffrey here as we go, and I'll drop myself back down again. But we had to stop at that point, and if there's any more relevant points to where I have to stop, this doesn't go on for long. What we'll do is that we'll stop and we'll do exactly what we've done just now. So here we go.
On this issue, it is not words but actions we need to see. And we will judge any outcome on the basis of actions and not words. Some lay great emphasis on cutting the number of checks on goods entering Northern Ireland from Great Britain. If that were to happen, they say all our problems would be sorted, notwithstanding, of course, that the protocol has not yet been fully implemented. The truth, of course, is that the checks on the Irish Sea border are the symptom of the underlying problem, namely that Northern Ireland is subject to a different set of laws imposed upon us by a foreign entity without any say or vote by any elected representative of the people of Northern Ireland, and that is not acceptable. As Great Britain has secured its freedom to deregulate or to move in a different direction of travel on aid or taxation, Northern Ireland is going to constantly face new barriers because we are tied to a different set of laws from the rest of the United Kingdom. This is simply not sustainable, and it is actually incompatible with devolution, which requires the support of unionists as well as nationalists if it is to function. So for the benefit of those watching in London and Brussels, let me restate our clear commitment. If decisive action is taken on the protocol that fully restores our place within the United Kingdom, then yes, this party will take its place once again in a fully functioning executive. But conference, I know in the stand that we are taking that we have the support of tens of thousands of unionists across Northern Ireland who want us to prevail on this most fundamental issue. We do not fear the prospect of a fresh election, far from it. If in the absence of his government righting the wrongs visited upon Northern Ireland, the Secretary of State decides to call an election, we are ready. And we will take our case to the people as the lead party of unionism because we've never been afraid to take our case to the people.
So there you'll have heard some fine words from Jeffrey, and we'll have to say that we're taking it very easy this evening, and we're not going to castigate. You know, what we prefer to do is that we prefer to talk. We prefer to see that can we nurture some of that fine language that Jeffrey would have delivered at his party conference just a few days ago. So in that spirit, what I would like to do, and I look into the camera, I would like to invite the hierarchy of the DUP on here on Restore UK to talk to British Unionists, to try to scratch the surface, to try to understand, what happens if this happens, if A happens, if B happens, if C happens, if D happens, what happens in any eventuality? Because what we really need to do is that we need to understand exactly what the DUP are talking about. Are those fine words only because that there's an election coming up and therefore the optics? Are those fine words in an attempt to try to derail what did happen in the last assembly elections, in where that the TUV managed to garner like 65,000 odd votes plus? What are those fine words for? Are those fine words on the realization that Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom is in great peril, great jeopardy, like never before? Are those words genuine, or are those words just for the optics? So again, I request here, and I'll be cutting this little piece out to send to the DUP, but we're inviting Jeffrey Donaldson or someone from the DUP hierarchy to come on to Restore UK and to answer the questions that we have. They're not going to be easy questions. In fact, we'll supply the questions before that you even come on. But if you're genuine, don't you think that it's right that you come and you put yourself in front of British Unionists who actually care about this country, who would do anything to defend and protect this country? If you're genuine, so we're looking forward to, either having the DUP on here or not having the DUP on here. And in return, we'll soon understand what the answer to the questions are, depending on what the DUP are prepared to do. So moving on. So that was Jeffrey Donaldson at his party conference there at the weekend. That was him appearing to support the protocol bill and asking that Liz Truss Taylor get it through the Parliament by negotiation with the EU, or by legislating for that protocol bill. But that protocol bill does not go far enough. You make no mistake, that protocol bill destroys unionism. I call that bill a snakes and ladders bill. We at Restore UK have entitled that bill the EU Constitutional Changing Protocol Bill. For slow learners, it equals the fourth Home Rule Bill. What was it that Carson stood up against? What was it that the people surrounding Carson stood up against? What was it that there was a covenant signed on the 28th of October in 1912 for? Why did that happen? That happened because of the third Home Rule Bill. That happened because the Conservatives were happy enough to hive us off for Dublin to rule Northern Ireland. That happened. The covenant was signed. The guns were landed at Larne, at Donaghadee, and in Bangor in April of 1914. Why did those events take place? Those events took place because unionism had the prescience to protect itself, to stand up for itself, to put itself in the place where that it could stand against the aggression from a foreign state trying to take over this part of the United Kingdom. Why did that happen? That happened because of the third Home Rule Bill. The Protocol Bill is the fourth Home Rule Bill, and it seeks to destroy not only Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom, but it seeks to destroy the entire United Kingdom in the process. So I'm asking the DUP to seriously think about what normalcy bias is. And, well, I ask the question, are they avoiding the consequences of their actions? Are they thinking that, well, the good stuff is the good stuff and let's not look at the bad stuff, let's not contemplate the bad stuff? Normalcy bias is a normalcy bias. It's a situation in where that, well, some people would seek to exploit the good stuff and not recognizing the bad stuff that is coming down your line, our line, their line, as a result of, well, I'm going to say incompetence, total incompetence, asleep at the wheel of unionism, and at a time whenever unionism is about to be destroyed. So there we go. Look, I mean, we don't need to go any further there. We wanted to do that this evening. So normalcy bias is what you call this screen. Who's guilty, and, well, who suffers as a result of other people's uh, inability, unwillingness to actually deal with the clear and present danger that sits in front of us. I don't want to suffer, and I hope that you feel exactly the same as I do. So what we wanted to deliver that, we wanted to deliver that in a way that can be used to try to talk to these people, on our level, to insist that, well, there are people within Northern Ireland that don't want to see this happening, that have studied this, have talked to people, that have actually went over the bill with legal advisors and who have actual legal opinion here. I'm just going to take a look at some of our little captions that we have here. And just to close on this very subject, the protocol bill, the fourth Home Rule bill, the normalcy bias, the very fact that Jeffrey seems as if that he's riding two horses in order that he would be willing to accept the protocol bill, but then he's talking tough language at the DUP conference. The question again remains, is that because there's an election coming up? Those are the questions that we need to ask the DUP, and we really need answers on that subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up some legal opinion that we at Restore UK actually have, and it'll come up in front of you. We'll read from it, and then we're going to move on, and we're going to look at some other subjects that are hitting our news and that has hit our news in the past few days. So what you see in front of you on the screen is some legal opinion from the constitutional barristers, which is engaged in fighting against this protocol. At Restore UK, we're involved in advising in this case. There's two cases. There's the Jim Allister, Kate Hoy and Ben Abib case. And then there's the case that ourselves at Restore are advising in. So this is really something that really stuck out to me. It really set out over and above all the pages and pages of legal argument that we have. And really this conclusion, and I have to say with respect, this conclusion was arrived at the time of the judicial review, not even before the appeal to the judicial review. And I'm going to say these words are very, very prescient. These words actually called what the outcome of this protocol would be. It says here that it is clear that even the British government's highest position is that the customs union between Britain and Northern Ireland will remain, with customs checks required. So I want to just stop there in that first sentence. So it is clear that even the British government's highest position is that the customs union between Britain and Northern Ireland will remain, with customs checks required. So no matter what that is happening, no matter why this protocol bill comes into place, there still has to be EU customs checks in this part of the United Kingdom, removing the democracy, the democratic right of the people of this part of the United Kingdom. There's no checks. There's no customs checks in anywhere else in the United Kingdom. So why should we have checks between England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland? And that first sentence in this legal opinion actually states quite specifically that the British government's highest position is that the customs union between Britain and Northern Ireland will remain, with EU customs checks required, albeit with self-declared checks Such self-declared checks would still not be required for moving goods, say, for example, between Scotland and England and Wales. During the course of negotiations, this proposed change is likely to be diluted rather than strengthened. This and the other proposals from the UK or the EU do nothing to address the finding of Colton that there is an unequal footing as between the citizens of Great Britain and Northern Ireland under Article 6 of the Act of the Union, and does nothing to alter the appellant's position that the finding of Colton that there has been implied repeal of Article 6 of the Act of the Union 1800 is wrong in law and wrong pursuant to the constitutional settlement of the United Kingdom. So there's some legal advice that we have that has come into the documents from the judicial review to the appeal to the judicial review, and has also set forward to the Supreme Court in late November, early December of this year. And I mean, that states quite specifically that is constitutional lawyers looking at this, saying that the British government's highest position, their highest offer to the people of Northern Ireland is that you will be separated, that you will have EU laws governing you, you will have checks on goods, whether that be in a sea border, or we've learned just this week, it could be on a land border. We've learned that councils are now operating checks on behalf of the EU. You see, that is the British government's highest position. So why, oh why, oh why are our politicians not recognizing this? Why are our politicians not insisting that this cannot be the case? Why is Jeffrey Donaldson and the DUP hierarchy not actually saying, well, well, I did hear him saying that it is the Belfast Agreement or it is the Protocol Bill. The Protocol Bill does nothing to address what it says in that legal opinion. Northern Ireland, as a place apart from Great Britain, the United Kingdom broken up, and the Scottish government demanding exactly the same circumstances as the people in Northern Ireland. People, this is a recipe for destabilization from within the United Kingdom. This is a recipe for Wales also to demand exactly the same thing as Northern Ireland. This is a recipe which would ultimately conclude in the entire United Kingdom being broken up. So our politicians really need to understand what it is that they potentially would sign up to in principle. Jeffrey Donaldson's language is contradictory. He's saying on one hand that he accepts the Protocol Bill, and he's saying on another hand that Stormont won't be back unless that there's no checks on goods, unless that there's no sea border, unless that there's no check. I mean, checks is checks is checks. Customs checks is a border, and that border happens to be placed slap bang in the middle of the United Kingdom, and no British unionist, no United Kingdom unionist could ever accept such circumstances. So we're kind of finished with that, and I really wanted to drill down on that. And please accept my apologies is that if we at Restore UK, we keep pressing that home, we keep hammering that home, we keep doing it in from different angles, from different ways. We have to continue to press home the single greatest thing that threatens Northern Ireland in 2022 is that Protocol Bill. And unless we defeat that protocol and that subsequent Protocol Fourth Home Rule Bill, well, the entire United Kingdom is finished. So there we go. We're moving on, and we're now going to begin to look at other subjects. So I'm going to look at the live chat for a second or two. And last week, I do understand there are people that comes to this channel, most especially on the YouTube, and they're from England. And there was a guy, and I know that he's from up around the North Coast, and he was saying, John, you should pay more attention to the live chat. And again, I'm saying to that person, and I hope that you're on this evening, is that please accept my apologies, because this is in times of great constitutional crisis for Northern Ireland, and we get this hour and a half on a Wednesday evening to really press home some serious messages that we can use during the week to press out and to push out and to show people And believe me, people are listening. People are actually listening to what it is that we have to say. People are appreciating of the very fact that we have went further than most people in where that we actually seek legal opinion from constitutional experts. People are actually appreciative that here at Restore UK, well, we didn't rest on our laurels. We were involved from day one in a case against this protocol. Our protocol case was lodged in the court to the judicial review first, before Jim Allister, before Kate Owen, before Ben Habib. Now, I did know that those people were also lodging a case, but all I'm saying is that ordinary people who actually care, well, we had been talking about this from even before the protocol came into being. We assessed that it was going to come into being. And initially, what we wanted to do was that we wanted to lodge judicial reviews from all parts of the United Kingdom. And we had people set up to go and to do that. But then circumstances changed. And England, Scotland, and Wales got slightly a different Brexit than we did. So therefore, it changed the entire circumstances of what it was that we had planned. And then what we did is that we decided that we would lodge from here in Northern Ireland. And well, as a result, we're at the Supreme Court on the 30th of November and on the 1st of December this year. And well, do we hold out much hope of winning? Well, if the law is to be interpreted in the way that the law should be interpreted, we will win hands down. But I'm told by a well-respected barrister, it is not he who takes a case against the law, it is he who interprets the law. He or her, let's just say, that interprets the law, and that's our problem. And I do like that little statement there from David Phillips: EU taxation without representation, and that is totally against your human rights, David, and my human rights, and everyone else's human rights here in Northern Ireland. So they've got a dilemma. They have a huge dilemma on so many fronts, and then they've got an even bigger dilemma. Well, there's more unionist people here in Northern Ireland that are not prepared to roll over, that are not prepared to give up their country, that are not prepared to give up their birthright, that are not prepared to be treated like second-class citizens, and that are definitely not prepared to be subjected to all manner of wrong as a result of the threat of IRA violence. Sometimes some things are worth standing up for. And well, you'll never be found wanting by following Restore UK, because we will take this to its nth degree. So thanks very much for that there. And again, I'm going to say that if anybody has anything of value to write, if there's any questions to be asked or anything, type it into the live chat. And well, what we'll do is that we'll give it an earn. So I'm just actually reading something here. Just bear with me for a second. I'm reading something on the live chat. Right, okay, so I'm going to pop this up by Bob Campbell. The Good Friday Agreement stood for years, with Her Majesty's government declaring it could be changed. The protocol has destroyed that, which is absolutely, Bill. I'm with you, Bob. I'm with you there. That's why I want the Good Friday Agreement and the protocol scrapped before any Protestant Unionist or Loyalist politicians should return to Stormont. You see, the Belfast Agreement, the Good Friday Agreement, it was a disguise. You know, it was built for appeasement, swindle, and lies, and we are now learning that to our cost, to our detriment. It was built for appeasement, swindle, and lies. The pieces of farce. The IRA guns are still there, and this is the real reason why we find ourselves in the position that we find ourselves in. So the pieces of farce, the IRA guns and bombs are still there, and London is afraid of another bomb scare. And we can't stop from quoting the words which Jim Werner, a man that works in our background, actually wrote. He wrote that part of that poem. And I have to say, what true words those are. The Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle, and lies. The pieces of farce, the IRA guns and bombs are still there. And London is afraid of another bomb scare. And that encapsulates the exact reasons in a few sentences as to why the unionists find themselves in the position that they're actually in. So we're going to move on here, and what we're going to do is that we're going to move on with some other stuff that was in our news. So I want to play a little video clip, And this is a video clip that was in our news today. Now, this is to do with the Irish national women's football team who were playing in Glasgow, Scotland last evening, from my understanding. And well, we've seen this before. We've seen this before. And for those of you who haven't seen this, I want to play this very, very short clip. So again, a technical problem with the software that we're using here to broadcast, but I think that you get the picture. Now, that was the Irish national women's football team. And whenever that they were celebrating last night their win, they decided to sing by chanting. They decided to sing by chanting, "Ooh, ah, up the ra." I see there that Bob is sort of written there. The screen has went blank. Yes, I see that, Bob. I think we're having problems here with the software that we use to broadcast. But Bob, if you could just tell us, did you hear the content of that blank screen? Ooh, ah, up the ra. Somebody let us know on the live chat there. And what we want to do again is that I will actually replay this again, just to see does it come up this time. So here we go again. We're going to give this another go. Well, thanks for that. That at least people heard what it was. Now, that was the Irish national women's football team, and they were singing "Ooh Ah Up the Ra." Now, try to like understand the gravity of what you've just heard there. Now, I say the gravity of what you just heard. You see, this was a national football team. You could imagine, say, for example, the English football team, or let's put it in a better context. Let's say the Northern Ireland football team, singing like, up the UVF or up the UDA. You could imagine singing that. You could imagine the fallout. You could imagine what the media would be saying whenever that they would have heard such a thing. Please leave your messages in the live chat and try to give me an example of what you think that would have happened if it had been, say, for example, the Northern Ireland ladies football team singing "Ooh, up the UDA" or up the UVF or whatever. Try to give us an understanding of what you think that would have happened in the media today had that been from a Protestant unionist or a loyalist background, a national team, a national women's team singing and glorifying. Because make no mistake, that's what it was. It was glorifying IRA terrorism, and in a way, that would add insult to the injury of the many victims that IRA organization created. Picture you being a living family member of someone who was blown up or shot by that IRA organization, and you hear the Irish national women's team after winning last night in Glasgow. You imagine that they would be, imagine how a family member would feel by hearing that. I mean, would that add insult to the injury to the family member of a victim? Would that re-traumatize a victim or a victim's family member? Would that actually add insult to the injury, and in a way that, well, we've seen what's happened since the Belfast appeasement came into being. The Belfast appeasement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle and lies. That's the Good Friday Agreement. But ever since that agreement has came into place, you see, these IRA terrorists have been placated. There's been a blind eye turned to them. They've had under-the-table deals from Tony Blair. They've had, effectively, they've been given an amnesty. That's what's happened. The heaven and earth has been moved in order to facilitate these people, to placate these people, to put them in government. Heaven and earth has been moved for that, and it doesn't matter what they do, when they do it. Doesn't matter if they murder people. It doesn't matter if they maim people. In 2015 in the markets, they murdered 2 people. And don't let anybody tell you, and I continue to say this and press this home, that it was anyone but the conglomerate that is linked to Jerry Adams and Mary Lou McDonald and Michelle O'Neill, which is occupying that house, which is Stormont off the Upper Newtonards Road in Belfast. You see, even if they murder people, who remembers the Bobby Story funeral? They make rules in Stormont and they go and they break the rules with no consequences, absolutely no consequences. And then here we have the Irish, now the Irish, the Republic of Ireland national ladies team, glorifying in that terrorism, glorifying in that child murder. Baby Alan Jack, Abercorn Square, 1972, 5 months old, shard with an IRA bomb, shard with glass, obliterated, perforated with that glass, killed outright. Michelle Bird, Shankill bomb, 23rd of October in 1993, going to buy a wreath for her grandfather with her mother and her father. Innocent people blown up, killed to death by an IRA bomb. How do those people feel? How does the family members feel? How do those family members feel whenever they see the national ladies football team, the Irish national ladies football team, glorifying that terrorism which murdered and maimed and killed and blew up their loved ones? How do those people feel? That's a real question. And then we hear the Irish politicians, Simon Coveney. Let's focus in on Simon Coveney, who said that it was wrong, but was basically saying, move on, there's nothing to see. Doug Beattie, well, it's happened and it shouldn't have happened, and he complained about it, but let's just move on. Let's move on. Let's not deal with this problem. Let's not draw this line in the sand and say, hang on a wee minute. Is this what we're going to get in this so-called New Ireland? Is this what we're up against? The glorifying of terrorism, the glorifying of people who has held this country to ransom for all of these years, who has murdered and maimed and killed and shot to death and blown up our nearest and our dearest. And well, they've murdered more Catholics than anyone in the so-called conflict over the years. And yet these people are being glorified by kids. But who is responsible for this glorification? And we'll get on to that right now. We will get on to that right now before that we sort of move on and we try to scratch the surface. So let's just compare what you just heard there, i.e., no pun intended, but let's just compare what you just heard there from the Irish national ladies football team glorifying terrorism, murderous scum. That's what they were glorifying. They were glorifying child murder. They were celebrating child murder. That's what they were doing. No matter why they know that they were doing it or not, that's exactly what they were doing. Now let's compare something that happened in Northern Ireland just a few years ago. Let's try to understand, are people being treated differently if they come from a unionist background? Are people being treated differently if they come from a Protestant or unionist or a loyalist background? Or is there a two-tier system of justice in this country? Are the media trying to brush over the gravity, the seriousness of what we just heard there with reference to Irish national women's football team glorifying terrorism, glorifying child murder, adding insult to the injury of victims? Are the media trying to brush over it in a way that they sort of dealt with it, but, well, they turn a blind eye. They don't add any weight to their argument. Where's the calls for these people to be railroaded out of football? Where's the calls for, are you ready for it? Glorifying terrorism in the Western world is against the law. Well, you could be prosecuted for glorifying terrorism according to the terrorism laws that are available. So let's now compare something that happened in Northern Ireland I think it was 2012, some 10 years ago. But I can compare and equate what you just heard there with this exact case. So let me actually share my screen and we'll go on and we'll talk about something that I see just in front of my very eyes. And bear with me for a second or two. So I'm going to share something on my screen here, and I'm going to read through it. And I really want to try to press this home too. I really want to equate what you just heard there with this exact case. I want to ask the question: is there a hierarchy of rights in terms of the law? Are everyone not, well, subject to and equal under the same law? Will some people be tried? Will they be prosecuted for glorifying terrorism? Will some people not be? Will some people be tried or convicted for causing offence? Because that certainly caused offence to me. That certainly would have caused offence to victims of IRA terrorism. Are some people unequal under the law? I mean, is everyone not meant to be subject to and equal under the same law? Let's actually talk about a case that happened in 2012. So, in front of you, you will see a BBC report here, a news headline from the BBC. So it says here that the Young Conway Volunteers Band members overturned sectarian song convictions. This is what it says. So I'm flicking on down. It says 13 members of a loyalist band have successfully appealed convictions for provocatively playing a sectarian tune outside a Catholic church. The Young Conway Volunteers members were prosecuted over their conduct outside St Patrick's Chapel on Donegal Street, North Belfast, on the 12th of July in 2012. They had denied playing the famine song as they marched in circles at the site. Prosecutors did not oppose their appeal, but only because they had agreed to being bound over to keep the peace. So whilst that they were, let's just go back here again. Young Conway Volunteers Band members overturned sectarian song convictions, but only because that they had been bound over to keep the peace. So they were still actually prosecuted for this exact event. Now, let me explain to you firstly in layman's terms before that I read on exactly what happened here. So on the 12th of July on 2012, if anyone that has ever been at Carlisle Circus, whenever the bands are leaving to go to the Eton Dairy Field, well, what happens is that, you know, as the huge parade would get underway, there are sometimes stops in the parade. I used to be a band member many, many years ago myself, and there's sometimes stops along the way in where that maybe another portion of Orangemen are joining into the parade from East Belfast or from Sandy Row or from the Shore Road or from wherever. So this parade sometimes stops in order to let the other band members join the huge parade. Now, these people just happen to be stopped outside a chapel on the on, I think it's Donegal Street is exactly where it is below Carlisle Circus. I think that's what they call it. Now, they were playing a song which goes way, way, way back to my band days. Now, I'm 54 years of age. Last time that I was in the band is whenever I was probably 20 years of age. So we're talking like 34 years ago. Now, back in that day, you know, the band that I was in, well, it would have played a song by the Beach Boys called Sloop John B. You know, and I hope that you know the song that we're talking about here. So these people were playing the tune, which many, many bands from throughout our province actually plays, and they call that song Sloop John B by the Beach Boys. Now, they were accused by nationalists, Republicans, agitators from outside of a chapel in Donegal Street here, and they were accused of actually playing a thing called the famine song. Now, they were accused of being provocative because they were playing this thing called a famine song. Now, Sleep John B by the Beach Boys, but because that they had heard that some people were using the same music to a thing called the Famine Song, they accused these band members of provocatively playing this outside a chapel. Now, I'm going to ask people to compare this with what you just heard with reference to the women's uh, Irish national football team. You see, the charge here at Donegal Street here was that these people were being offensive by playing what it was that they were playing. They were being offensive. This is the charge that was laid against them. They were being offensive because that it hurt people's feelings that, well, a famine happened and this song has been put to the music of this song, Sleep John B, has been sung along with some controversial words to do with the famine. So what it did was this caused offence to the people at the chapel. Now I'm now going to go back, and I now want to actually read from what it is that I see in front of me. So 13 members of a loudest band have successfully appealed convictions for provocatively playing a sectarian tune outside a Catholic church. The Young Conway Volunteers members were prosecuted over their conduct outside St Patrick's Chapel in Donegal Street, North Belfast, on the 12th of July 2012. They had denied playing the Famine Song as they marched in circles at the site. Prosecutors did not oppose their appeal, but only because they agreed to being bound over to keep the peace. So they were still prosecuted and bound over to keep the peace. So the provocative act is exactly what this says here. Events outside the church that day marked the start of a series of flashpoint incidents when subsequent parades passed Donegal Street. During the 3-year prosecution, the band members were accused of a provocative act likely to cause public disorder or breach of the peace. Now, I'm going to say here that during the 3-year prosecution, band members were accused of a provocative act likely to cause public disorder or a breach of the peace. Now, let's take you back to what happened last night with the Irish ladies' national quote-unquote football team. To many people in Northern Ireland who's been held ransom by this same IRA organisation, to many people who has lost loved ones to this terrorist IRA organisation, to many people who have had to endure their democracy being removed, a border being placed in the North Channel as a result of the threat of violence by the same IRA organisation. Surely that this is grounds for us to accuse the Irish national women's football team of a provocative act. Which could and is likely to cause public disorder or a breach of the peace. I mean, I was on a trip to Greece in early July. I was on a coach. I got on a coach whenever I got off from Greece, and there was a lot of people from the Mike area of Armagh, between Armagh and Uri on the border. And they were nice young people, and I have to say we were having a chat, and and they seemed like ordinary young people. That was until they get on the coach and they had a few drinks in them, and they all started singing "Ooh Ah Up the Ra." You see, how I felt when I was on that coach is that I really really did feel that was a provocative act to me, because I've lost I've lost as close as family members by IRA, at the hands of IRA terrorists. And it was a provocative act to me that these young people on that bus had actually been singing "Ooh Ah Up the Ra," and and it could have well presented itself even on that bus in a public order offence. It was likely to cause disorder or at least a breach of the peace. Because I tell you what I wanted to do is that I wanted to stand up and really challenge these people on, like, what is it they're glorifying here? Are they glorifying the murder of Alan Jack in Strabane, who was showered by an IRA bomb whenever they planted a bomb, whenever they detonated that bomb, whenever that bomb showered that 5-month-old baby with glass, literally perforating that child to death? Is that what they're glorifying? Are they glorifying, the two children that were murdered in the Shankill bomb? Is that what they're glorifying? And I really wanted to do that on that bus, but I refrained from doing that because I'll tell you why that I did, is because that there were people with me, and I didn't want to cause them any on let's just say I didn't want to make them feel uneasy, so I decided to bite my tongue. So you see, what I'm aiming at here is that those chants can cause, and I'm reading again from what it says here to do with these band members. You see, those chants can cause all sorts of problems. It can cause, and I'm going into the article here, that it can cause, it is a provocative act likely to cause public disorder or a breach of the peace. And it really needs to be stopped, and it really needs to be eradicated from our society. But I then ask the question, what is the difference between those band members who were prosecuted by the law and the Irish national ladies football team? What is the difference? There is absolutely no difference. So why are these people not being prosecuted for glorifying terrorism? Why are these people not being prosecuted for adding insult to the injury of the victims that the IRA had created? Why are these people not being prosecuted? Why are they not being put out of the Irish football team? Why are they not being identified and literally railroaded out of society? I mean, there's this thing at the minute that if you were a unionist, if you believe in your nationality, there's this thing called cancel culture. And you believe me, if you were involved in that, and if you are wanting to protect your nationality and you're not for globalization, if that's what you're wanting to do, you would be cancelled from your job. You wouldn't even have a job. You would never get a job. You would be cancelled from everything if you were to participate in such an act. So this is why that I drove home exactly what I'm driving home this evening on this. So it actually goes into detail here in this article, where it actually names all the people that were prosecuted. It says the famine song, which includes the line, "The famine is over. Why don't you go home?" It has been declared racist by senior judges in Scotland. So it's been declared racist. I would hear, however, the defendants claimed they were performing the Beach Boys hit "Sloop John B," which they were, which has a similar tune but different lyrics. In fact, that is the only lyrics that should be sang with that music, is "Sloop John B" by the Beach Boys. So it says here the 10 adult defendants, and it lists their names in this article. It literally lists their names. It is actually publicly shaming these people for something they didn't even do. It says charges were also brought against 3 others who were juveniles at the time of the incident. During the original contested hearing at Belfast Magistrates Court, the defence lawyers played songs of a Swedish folk singer, a Star Trek enthusiast, and football fan chants, all to the same tune. In other words, in a bid to have their clients cleared. Anyway, look, again, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to take this down. So you see where I'm going here? And there's a huge question to be asked here, is that are we living in a two-tier society? Are we living in a day, in an age, in where that if you do not support globalization, that if you are unionist, if you want to maintain the United Kingdom, if you come from Northern Ireland, if you're white, if you're a male and you're white of a certain age, that you will be prosecuted. The full weight of the law will weigh down on you. This is what happens. This is what happened in this case of the band playing outside that chapel. They were taken to court. They were prosecuted. They had the charges lessened, albeit that, but they actually were prosecuted for causing offence. Now, again, we ask the question, were these ladies in this national football team, were they causing offence? Well, of course they were. Were they causing offence to the same magnitude as these other guys? Well, I would say that these other guys are very, very small beer compared to what it was that these young ladies done last night. And yet there's nothing to see here. Brush over it, move on. They apologized. Well, certainly the team has apologized, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it. Now, whenever I look at politicians, I look at Doug Beattie. I look at that girl, is it Lauren Kerr, who actually runs the Ulster Unionist Party and has done since the 2012, I think. Yeah, we're going to do a story on that very, very soon about who's actually running the Ulster Unionist Party. Heard Lauren Kerr on Talkback today. But, and fair play, she did say that it was wrong. But why are they not comparing like for like here? Why are they not suggesting, well, if it is good enough for this band to be prosecuted outside this chapel for causing offence, then it is also good enough for these ladies to be prosecuted for causing offence to the many IRA victims. We have to stand against this. We have to insist that this cannot be permitted in our society. Our politicians needs to, if other politicians want to glorify these terrorists, to suggest that it's okay to glorify these terrorists, then our politicians should have no truck with them. Simply put, they should have absolutely no dealings with these people whilst this type of glorifying of terrorism is going on. So I think what I've done is that I've outlined the similarities between two cases. I have shown that if you're male and if you're a certain age, you will have the full rigors of the law weighed down on top of you if it offends Republicans, IRA terrorists who could actually cause violence again. If you offend them, you will be prosecuted. But if you offend innocent victims of that terrorist organization, there's nothing to see here. Move on. An apology will be suffice. Now, in a society in where that democracy exists, in where that common sense exists, in where that I'm going to say, I'm trying to find words here, in a society in where stability and reconciliation should be pushed out at every opportunity, in a society in where that we want to achieve stability and reconciliation down the line. Well, is this type of thing ever acceptable? I'm going to say that it's not. Now, in closing, we're going to go to the live chat before that we close, because I do take the criticisms of last week and of myself not talking to the live chat. And I'm going to have a conscious effort to talk to the live chat this evening and ask people to put up questions or whatever it is that they think, and we'll pop them up onto this screen. But I now want to ask another question. And this question we've asked here at Restore UK before. And the question is this: why is it that these young ladies felt emboldened to sing "Ooh, Ah, Up the Ra," glorifying terrorism and terrorist atrocities and terrorist acts and child murder and the maiming and the murdering and the bombing and the shooting and the criminality from this IRA terrorist organization? Why is it that these people feel that they can do this? Well, let me explain. Where did it start? You always have to go back to the start to find out who that it is that is encouraging these young people to do this. Who is it that is putting these words in these kids' mouths? I'm going to pop this up by Elaine. Elaine, I understand they're not ladies. I understand that. That's just my terminology, and I'll stick with ladies. But you write whatever you want on the screen, and we'll pop it up, and we'll let you know. Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger, if you get what I'm saying. So I promise to put whatever your best shot at them is. I promise to pop it up onto this screen. So again, Why does it happen? Why has this happened? Well, let me now try to let you understand where that this originated, where that this was encouraged from, who encouraged it, and who ultimately holds responsibility for infesting, for indoctrinating the minds of children who were not even born whenever this evil organization carried out their murderous evil deeds. Who do we blame for that? Those young ladies last night, last evening, singing Ooh Ah Up the Ra. Who do we blame?
Up the Republic, up the rebels, agus Chucky our law.
Now let's just play that again. There's nothing on the screen. We'll have a technical issue, but here we go. That's Mary Lou MacDonald, the leader of Sinn Féin. Let's play this again.
Héile, up the Republic, up the rebels, agus Chucky our law.
So there's Mary Lou. There's Mary Lou. Participating in language which is celebrating and glorifying the rebels. Chucky Arla, which is IRA language for our day will come. Up the Republic, they're saying. This is a real role model, Mary Lou MacDonald. And can we blame these young ladies for seeing a politician which is in the Dáil? The Dáil. They're saying on the media that Mary Lou MacDonald's likely to be the An Taoiseach coming to the Dáil very, very soon. And yet these people are glorifying terrorism. Is there no standards in the Dáil? Is there no here there's ministerial code? That's what there is, even though that our politicians don't push for that ministerial code to be implemented. For an example, if the ministerial code in Northern Ireland were to be implemented, well, Michelle O'Neill would be put out of the office for glorifying terrorism day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. It doesn't change. People like, I'm just trying to think, Naomi Long, she wouldn't be the Justice Minister because she called people like me stale, male, and pale. That is ageist, racism, sexism, and misandry all in one sentence. These people are vile creatures. And I can now say that because of what they said about me. They're vile creatures. That's what they are. They're not ladies. They are creatures. But yet they get away with it. And the ministerial code in Northern Ireland does not be used against them. Why? Because of our weak-willed politicians. But you see, Mary Lou MacDonald in the Dáil, is there no ministerial code in the Dáil? Is there no standards for the people that would hold office in that Dáil? Who wants to go to a place which has no standards in terms of what it is that their politicians are allowed to say? Why are those children shouting "ooh ah up the Ra"? Let me play another stream from a Sinn Féin member who was elected to the Dáil again, a TD in the Dáil. Let's listen to this man, and we'll try to understand yet again why that it is that people in the South and the Irish national women's football team, why that it is that they would feel that it's okay to glorify terrorism, add an insult to the injury to the victims of the IRA, and creating the circumstances in where, I try to find words to try to describe this here. Well, they got away scot-free, didn't they? Nothing is happening. Our politicians are not insisting that they should be prosecuted, that they need to be pushed out. Well, look, it's a corrupt state. The Irish Republic is corrupt. If those young ladies are not railroaded out of that football team, and if they don't beg forgiveness for that happening from within the national football team, we need to view the Irish state and anybody that comes from that Irish state, Simon Coveney, Leo Varadkar, Micheál Martin, the top of the government, they are corrupt, absolutely corrupt if they do nothing about this. In fact, their silence is actually in support of the glorifying of terrorism and, by extension, the very fact that IRA killed many, many people here. murdering and maiming our nearest and dearest, and holding this country to ransom for all of those years. So let's play this and we'll try to understand where it originates from, where does it come from, who that it is that well encourages this type of language from within the youth of not just Northern Ireland but also in the Republic of Ireland.
In 2004, I was elected as a councillor for Sinn Féin, and I was elected as a TD last time round. Is if Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael come together and form a coalition to block Sinn Féin, and if they do, comrades, we'll stand two candidates here in Waterford the next time. We want to finish with this because we are United Irelanders, and I was too young to remember it, but I heard of people in this room who canvassed for Kevin Lynch back in 1981 with the hunger strikers. When he first embarked on a hunger strike with Bobby Sands and all of those comrades, he was the H-Block candidate here in this constituency. They didn't break the hunger strikers, they didn't break Bobby Sands and Kevin Lynch, they'll never break us, they'll never break Sinn Féin. And what we say is up the Republic, up the Ra, and Chucky our law.
You see, that's a TD, a member of the Irish Parliament, a member of the Dáil. What do you say? Up the Ra, up the Republic, it's Chucky our law. Up the Ra is exactly what that man said. Then ask yourself the question, why is it that the Irish national football team, the ladies, why is it that they felt that they could say that too? You see, that's acceptable from within society. It is acceptable to glorify terrorism. It is acceptable to glorify the murder of the children that this evil organization actually murdered. So who do we blame for this happening? Well, I blame Sinn Féin. I blame the Irish government for not having the standards to ensure that these people are not allowed to say this here. I literally blame that corrupt Irish state, which is an EU vassal, and I will never be any part of that. I will never be part of that, and I hope that you feel exactly the same as I do also. And for any politician like Doug Beattie that wants to say, well, we need to move on, well, respectfully, I say it is because of people like Doug Beattie, Mug Beattie, that we're in the position that we're actually in. They failed to stand up for unionism in a meaningful, proactive way, in a way that would defend, protect, and enhance British unionism here in Northern Ireland. So let's kick this here from the screen and let's move on. So we have one more subject actually to talk about before that we close here this evening. And I think that we really, really need to talk about this subject. Yes, absolutely. I like to see what you've put up there, Isabel. The UUP are in talks with Simon Coveney. Why? Absolutely. I mean, the Irish state completely should be boycotted, should be completely boycotted. They shouldn't talk to any of these politicians. They should say, well, they should give a list of demands. Here's the demands. You need to stop this. You need to prosecute those young ladies the same way as that band was prosecuted for causing offence outside that church, that chapel in Donegal Street in 2012. What's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gangster. Fair is fair. They need to say that there needs to be an even playing field, that there needs to be standards from within politics. And, you know, as regards the Oireachtas, the Irish Dáil, you know, these were people, TDs from within the Dáil. Mary Lou McDonald and that other character you just heard there, that they are glorifying this IRA terrorism, add an insult to the entry of the victims, and no self-respecting person can ever accept this from these parasites, from these bloodsuckers that would seek to destroy Northern Ireland and Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. So there we go. They are the ogres. They are the problem. They are the people that will keep this place divided. They call it a United Ireland. Imagine that, a United Ireland. Well, how to win friends and to influence people. I say that, and I say that with a jest, but they're doing a good job. Don't you think? They really are doing a great job. Well, I'm going to pop this up here. Thanks very much for that, Lexi. You know, could not agree more with you. You are right in every word you said. But look, Actually, it is common sense. You know, it is logic. It is literally, it is right in front of our faces that this is what's happening, and our politicians are not standing up against it. They do not want to tackle these things. Well, when you can't, right here, when you can't rely on your politicians to fight for your survival, I'll pick up again. This is the Lexi. When you can't rely on your politicians to fight for your survival in a meaningful, proactive way, the question is this: how then can you survive? And the truth of the matter is that if you can't rely on your politicians to fight for you, you can't survive. Unless, of course, that you actually take that fight for yourself. You take that fight, you know, we take that fight for ourselves. You know, we have to highlight these things. We have to do the politician's job. We have to hold them to account. We have to hold their feet to the fire. We have to point out, as this screen would actually be titled, that they are they have deployed in their minds a normalcy bias, which really excuses the fact that there is clear and present danger towards British unionism here in Northern Ireland. And what they are doing is that they are blocking it out, and they're looking at the good things that might be happening, but not understanding that by not tackling the issues that need to be dealt with, they are in effect creating the circumstances in where the United Kingdom will be absolutely destroyed. These people are not fit in a lot of cases to be leading anything, never mind unionism here in Northern Ireland. I look back into 1912, 1914, where our forefathers, where they had the prescience to stand up to create the circumstances in where that they could defend themselves. I look back to that time frame and I say that our forefathers must be turning in their graves right now when they see the caliber, when they see the quality of the politicians that is leading British unionism here in Northern Ireland today in 2022. Are we going to be the generation to, well, to allow the United Kingdom to be broken up? Are we going to be the generation that does absolutely nothing about this? That's a question, and that is a question for our politicians. So we've got to play with one more thing here, one more thing. And I am looking at the live chat. I'm doing, again, I took the criticism last week, which was fair criticism, that I haven't actually been taking some of the messages out of the live chat here. And again, if there's anything that you need to ask people, please pop it up and we'll soon pop it up on the screen. Yeah, I think so. So this is from Carl Porter. I reckon they still need a very noisy alarm clock. Yeah. And, you know, a wake up call, Carl. You know, that's what we all, I'm going to say something here. It needs to be done. We need to actually push these politicians. We need to hold their feet to the fire. We need to point out their words like we do at Restore UK regularly every single week here, that we point out where they're getting it wrong, where their inactions are, where their inabilities are, where their unwillingness is. That's what we continuously point out here at Restore. I'm told by some people, and this is coming from within, deep within these political parties, that they detest Restore UK. Why? Because we tell the truth, because we point out the truth, because we show them for what they actually are. So again, on the back of that, what we're asking for is that we're asking for the DUP to come on here. We're asking for the DUP to come and to let us ask them the questions so that we can understand where that it is that we stand. Do we need to take this fight here for ourselves? Are the DUP riding two horses? Is it because that there's an election coming up that they're talking and giving the tough words? Is this what they're doing? We need to understand that, and we would hope that the DUP would come here, and we're going to use a few clips from within this video to actually send to the DUP and hope that they will come on and they will actually, well, they will talk to us, let's just say. So here we go. I'm looking at the live chat here is that, yeah, thanks very much for that, Mira. Thank you. And again, this is from Muriel Brush. Doug Beattie should not have been there today. He should wise up as he does not represent unions. Muriel, you have hit the nail on the head. It is the illusion of cross-community support whenever you see Doug Beattie meeting these people, creating the circumstances in where that it looks, it's the illusion that it's unionism meeting Simon Coveney. Simon Coveney should be sent packing. I heard him just last week saying that, you know, we've had an election before. We don't need another election. Who does he think he is? What do you mean we've had an election? He's the head of Irish Department for Foreign Affairs, which is a good segue to our next item on the agenda. And anyway, I'm going to ask people not to be too upset with what it is that I'm going to show on our screen just before that we close. And again, if there's anything else that you want to put in the live chat there, please do. And what we'll do is we'll deal with the things that you have to say. So here we go. Right, I'm going to pop this down and get rid of that. So I'm looking for something here to put onto the screen. Just bear with me for a second or two. I'm looking for a little video file that I can play. Here we go. It's this one here. Just bear with me for a second. So I'm going to play something here on our screen. And I have to put in a disclaimer before that I play this here. And the disclaimer is this. You see, I have showed this little video clip to a few people from within unionism. And I'm told that this lady, she does some good work for people in the community. But, you know, I'm going to level an accusation at this lady, right? And the accusation is this, that she's being economical with the truth, with reference where the funding is coming from, which is funding her to go into rural communities to talk to people. Now, I'm saying talk to people. Maybe that's what's in her mind. But the person that certainly stands alongside with her in a joint role, well, you see, this lady, well, I could say without fear of contradiction that this lady, who would be this lady's counterpart that I'm about to play, well, she would be certainly aiming to indoctrinate rural people from within the unionist community. Now, I'm going to say this right now, is that I see that there's a lot of talk about Simon Coveney. You see, Simon Coveney is the head of the Department for Irish Foreign Affairs. And I've noticed a marked increase in people that are getting funding from the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. And what you'll find is that some of the projects that are being funded is literally to undermine the foundation of unionism here in Northern Ireland. Now, this is going to prick a lot of people's ears up. Now, listen very carefully to what I have to say, is that the Irish Department of Foreign Affairs is engaged in a process not unlike what the CIA would be doing in countries that they're there to undermine. I mean, we had a statement from a man that was involved in RUC Special Branch from a way back, in where that they had identified that the so-called CIA, the Barbies as they term them, was here in Northern Ireland undermining the society. And we have a statement saying that they viewed the Northern Ireland society as backward, and they wanted to undermine conservatism, Christianity, those that love their country, their nationality, those that weren't globalists. They seek to undermine those people, and they seek to replace them with those with liberalism, with woke agenda in mind. Now, no, that wasn't the words that was used to us in this statement, but certainly whenever you know what's happening, whenever you see what the CIA have been doing undermining societies right around the Western world, what we actually see in this operation that I'm about to show you is exactly the same template as what it was that the CIA have been using in Northern Ireland since 1984. So here's what we need to do, is that we need to play this. And again, my disclaimer is this, is that I am told from within our community that this lady isn't actually that bad. Well, I'm going to say that this lady is either naive, or this lady is being economical with the truth, trying to cover up which Department for Foreign Affairs is actually funding her. And well, I'm going to let you decide for yourself. So we're going to play a short video here, and then we're going to replay it. We're going to dissect the video, and then we'll be back within a few minutes, and watch and listen very, very, very carefully.
when I was 24, and I started my career off in the basement of a community centre with a telephone and a computer, and that was it. Back in the year 2000, when all the peace money was starting. And through that, really, I was responsible for managing a project under Peace One for 5 large housing estates. I moved to Armagh City and worked with a wonderful organisation in Armagh on interface issues. And then I ran the youth centre in Portadown for 4 years, Bowline Youth Club. And then over the last 12 years, I've worked in rural communities as firstly the community relations officer with a network organisation, and now I'm the Women's Spaces Coordinator with Nerwin in Kirkstone.
So Charmian Jones is the Women's Spaces Coordinator within Nerwin and Cookstown. Now I know that the Cookstown operation has actually funded people from within our community. I've talked to someone from within our community that tells me that this lady is in one of the Psalm societies, her and her husband, without getting into detail. Now, I'm told that they're not bad people, that they do look back and they look at our history, our heritage, our culture, and they literally they cherish the culture, the people that went to the back in the day to fight with totalitarianism. This is what I'm told. But here's my gripe. This is my question. So she's the coordinator for this group called Nervin, and they're going into the rural communities to enhance women from within those communities. And I'm going to say that there's nothing wrong with that. But whenever you pair this with something else that the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs has recently funded, I'm going to, and I have to give a quick bit of context here. See, the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs has funded a book here in Northern Ireland about women within loyalism. Now, again, you might think that that's nothing. I mean, that's good that they're doing that and everything else. But here's the thing, is that within that book, the thing that was published on the media was a takedown of the men from within loyalism. It was painting men from within loyalism as, let's just say, as coercive controllers, as, against women, anti-women, as people that were involved in drugs and so on and so forth. And I say to myself, if that's what women in loyalism are doing with men within loyalism, I think to myself, whoever agreed to have such a story in a book promoting women within loyalism, whenever that's what they're doing, that what they're doing is they're trying to destroy men from within loyalism. This is what the book was about. And then Alison Morris, that great journalist, that great Irish news, which is a Belfast Telegraph journalist, she wrote the foreword for that book. Amanda Ferguson, she wrote about that book. And it's whenever that we done the research in that book, what we found is that Amanda Ferguson had written about the book, that it's a great book. This is me paraphrasing, that they done a good job, but yet it was a takedown of loyalism. It was the painting of a picture that loyalism was actually bad here in Northern Ireland. And it was Amanda Ferguson that in her little text that said that it was funded by the DFA. DFA, remember those words. Now, we're smart enough to understand who the DFA is, Department for Foreign Affairs. So, but then she wrote straight after DFA Reconciliation Fund. So you type into Google DFA Reconciliation Fund, it takes you right to oireachtas.ie. It's the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. So the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs has funded a book to take down men from within loyalism. And what Alison Morris actually said about these women who were contributing to this book was that, the good thing about this was that they were all progressives. They were all feminists that was writing about these men within loyalism. So I am pointing out something that there is an operation right now being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs to undermine the society in which we live, to undermine the loyalism. Now, I call myself a unionist, by the way, a British unionist. But, whenever I see things like this going on, I can't help but highlight these things being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. So whenever I looked at this the other day, and you only need to see these things happening once, and then you know the pattern. I mean, they all work in the same sort of strategy. And whenever I heard this the other day, yes, that's it, Lorna. Isn't the group Her Loyal Voice funded by the same body? That's exactly who I'm talking about, Lorna. And Lorna, I would like you to actually do some research together on that and actually produce a stream all about this. In fact, we've got most of the research already done. And coming soon to this screen is to show who that it is that is undermining our society, and whether these ladies know that they're doing it or not, whether these ladies are a bit naive, whether they don't understand that they're being funded to undermine our society or not. Well, I hope that, Lorna, I want you to help me with this. I hope that we can show in a conclusive way that this is exactly what is happening. And well, isn't it like of interest that the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs are actually funding the takedown, the undermining of our society? A bit like the CIA, whenever they had said that they wanted to promote a more progressive voice, and they seen our society as backward because of why? Because of Christianity, because of conservatism, because of moral principles. So back to this here now. Sorry about that, and we'll get back to the live chat in a second here. But look at Charmian Jones here, right? Now, I want to play on here, and I want for you to listen to the words as it goes.
It's all our details are on the Nerwin website, and we have a very active Facebook page as well. So we offer accredited and non-accredited training for women, and we offer different programs, maybe one-off workshops or longer programs that women can get involved in. It is a new gig, and it's a really exciting new gig for Nerwin. It's funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs.
So it is a new gig for Nerwin. And I'm just going to go back a bit now. Is Charmian Jones embarrassed to say that this is being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs? Or is Charmian Jones being economical with the truth? You know, this is Charmian Jones in front of you, involved in a Psalm Society from within our community. But listen to her words. Just listen to her words. Now, why did those words jump out at me? Is because of Amanda Ferguson had written with reference Her Loyal Voice, who was involved in this book, which I believe was the very first thing that they used was a takedown of a man within loyalism, where they said that, you know, I'm not getting into it. Me and you is going to do this, Lorna, I hope, right? So anyway, that group was funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs, and Amanda Ferguson had written it was funded by the DFA, Department for Foreign Affairs. And I've heard other people who are funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs actually refer to them as the Department for Foreign Affairs. They're not using the word Irish in front of it. Now, here is my criticism, or here is my accusation, or here is my question, would be a better word, to Charmian Jones. Who told you to say Department for Foreign Affairs? Who told you to omit the word Irish? Did you just do this for yourself? Is this something you did of your own bat? Or are you trying to hide something? Are you embarrassed that the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs is funding you? Now, these are real questions. These are questions that I'm entitled to ask in a democracy. And that is a real question. But let's play on.
Can get involved in. It is a new gig, and it's a really exciting new gig for Nerwin. It's funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs for 3 years, and it's working in partnership with the Women's Resource Development Agency, the Women's Support Network, and the Women's Platform. And the other person who's working on this with me, Elaine Crory, has a very long track record in peace and reconciliation work. So it's just wonderful to be working with her on this project.
Now, let's focus on this lady. Look at the picture. Look at that picture in front of your screen there. Now, Charmian Jones is working with, you see the name here, Elaine Crory. Look at the caliber of Elaine Crory. DUP can fuck off. The North is now, is what this other lady beside her said. The North is now. I think they're referring to abortion, actually. You know, who remembers Mary Lou McDonald and Michelle O'Neill? The North is next. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? I do. I certainly remember that. Now, let's get us back here again. We're going to rewind back a wee second, and we're going to listen to Elaine, Charmian Jones. We're going to rewind back a wee bit. So she said again that it's funded. Now listen to the words. It's funded by the Department for Foreign Affairs. She's omitting to say the word Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. Simon Coveney's office. That's who's funding this. Is this an operation by G2, which is the special branch of the MI5, let's just say, of the Irish Republic? Is this an operation by G2 undermining our society, paying for the undermining of our society? Are they being instructed to say Department for Foreign Affairs, not Irish Department for Foreign Affairs? But look, people, I kid you not, this is an act of war on our community. If these people are funding the Irish government, are funding the undermining of our society, and look, we can prove this. We can show this conclusively that this is already happening, and we've got a lot of the research already done on this fact. And I am entitled, absolutely entitled, to stand up for my community. I am absolutely entitled to expose this fact. I am absolutely entitled to ask these questions. I am absolutely entitled to break down, to question every single thing that comes in a democracy. And no one will tell me that I'm not allowed to do this. I will continue to do this for and on behalf of the community, which is being undermined here in Northern Ireland. I will continue to do this. So let's listen again and let's look at this lady, Elaine Crowley, because let me tell you, the research digs deep with these people.
It is a new gig, and it's a really exciting new gig for Nerwin. It's funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs for 3 years, and it's working in partnership with the Women's Resource Development Agency, the Women's Support Network, and the Women's Platform. And the other person who's working on this with me, Elaine Crowley, has a very long track record in peace and reconciliation work. So it's just one.
So Elaine Crowley has a long track record of peace and reconciliation work. Now, quote unquote, peace and reconciliation work. A phrase that springs to mind here is how to win friends and to influence people. You couldn't make this up. How to win friends and influence people. Look, DUP can fuck off. Peace and reconciliation work. She's an expert. She's an expert. She's a tried and tested expert in peace and reconciliation work. Well, according to Charmaine Jones, she's an expert in peace and reconciliation work. I smile, people. I smile, and the reason why I smile is that this is like Comedy Central, isn't it? Really, it really is. But here we go.
Wonderful to be working with her on this project, and we're really bringing urban and rural women together. So it's a regional approach, really, to help women develop their skills and support.
So what sort of skills are we developing with urban and rural women if this nut job is teaching them DUP can fuck off? Yeah. Imagine this being part of an organization that is to teach women on how to conduct themselves in everyday life. Shouldn't someone be, I'm going to say, fair, impartial, to be free from partisan political control, to be capable of gaining and maintaining the respect of the people that they're out to teach? But yet we see this nut job, this absolute wingnut. I pause there, and I pause for a reason, because in pausing, we're asking a real question. But suffice to say that these people are teaching people in rural and city areas, they're teaching women on how to get involved in politics, how to read situations, what type of politics to, well, I did hear it say on the radio just a few weeks ago that there was one lady that said from a community group from within our community, she says, well, it's good. We go along that group and we really don't know about politics and we don't know about the words in politics and we don't know what the protocol means, but it's okay because we're told by experts. I wonder, is this the type of experts which is telling people what to believe and how to read politics and how to make sense, like for example, of a protocol or of the EU or of a protocol bill? because this is classic, what's known as non-governmental organization that is there for the sole purpose of undermining your society. And I make no apologies for saying that, and I am permitted to say that. And well, if anyone wants to take me up on it, the screen is available at any time, anywhere, any place for you to come here and for me to show you the evidence that we have and you to justify yourself. But here we go, we'll play on.
Supporting them leaders in their own community, within civic life. Some of them may be interested in the political life, and really to try and encourage rural women to come forward and really begin to build their own capacity to.
So they're going to encourage rural women to be in civic life or political life or to build their own capacity. Look, there's the teacher. The teacher's standing right in front of you there. DUP can fuck off. Oh dear, oh dear. Look, we're having a laugh for this here, but here, it's not funny. It really isn't funny, and it's being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. It's been funded by Simon Coveney's office. Simon Coveney, that is undermining our society before our very eyes, and that's a real accusation that I'm putting to the Irish government. And for the people that doesn't understand what's happening here, well, they really need to go back and watch this screen. And in fact, they need to wait for what's coming in a few weeks. We've done the research. We know the players. We know who's involved in it. We know a lot of things. We even know who the anonymous voice was that was taking down loyalism. And it's even questionable as to why that she was even from within the loyalist community. So here we go. We're playing on.
Advocate for themselves. We don't want to be the people at the end of this programme advocating on behalf of others. Staff want to be there to support women to try and do this themselves and bring opportunities to the table for women that never have been there before. So it's exciting. It's an exciting prospect for all of us, really. Well, it is well researched that women are good at and are the peace builders and that are good at peacemaking.
So women are good peace builders and women are good at peacemaking, right? So there's an emphasis on this funded operation from the Irish government to talk about politics, about peace building and peacemaking. There's a women's centre going in Monarch Way, just between the Shankill and the Falls. And what we understand is that there's a community group in the Falls and has a very significant figure at the head of that community grouping. And they're going to be placing them along with women from the Shankill area. And, you know, again, in what we do and what we've actually researched to date, we're going to be showing how that it is that in the Falls Road, Springfield Road, Andersonstown area, Ballymurphy area, well, women from that area would have been taught in bomb making capabilities. They would have been taught about carrying guns to operations, taking guns away. They were known as hens or hen patrols, and the evidence is here to show. And I'm going to say that a lot of the women from that area would have been IRA volunteers. You know, and again, I have to ask the question, are the women of the Shankill Road, who would have been generally behind their men back in the day, are they capable of dealing with these people? You know, are they really capable of dealing with these people who are dedicated terrorists? And that is another real question. That is another real question. And that operation is being funded by the EU. I wonder, does the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs also have a funding stream going towards that new building, which is being built right now on a place where housing should be built on the Shankill? Did I hear just the other day that there was 44,000 applicants for social housing here in Northern Ireland, and yet there's loads of sites lying empty on the Shankill Road in East Belfast and anywhere else where there's a unionist population. So again, there's lots of things that we need to look into with reference to all of this. Now, I'm going to play on at this, and the reason why I am is that I do want to actually finish with this little stream. And again, we have to smile, we have to ask the questions. But yeah, you couldn't really make this up, could you?
Negotiation skills and dealing with conflict. and more women that are involved and make decisions around their own lives can not only benefit themselves but benefit wider society. We do want a more equal society, and unfortunately in 2022 we're still not there, and 51% of the population here in Northern Ireland are women. So it's really important that, you know, this ripples out across all sections of society, and it can only benefit wider society if more women are involved. Rural women's access to the same level of programmes or services that an urban woman might have, but when they come together, you know, there's a lot of commonality, and they all live on the same island. And it's not a big place either. So, you know, I'm keen to do that. And in my past work, you know, urban groups were very, very, you know, forthcoming to go out into rural communities. You had to twist their arm a wee bit, but once you did, they came out and they benefited from that.
You've also been chosen as one of 25 leaders to take part in a Centre for Democracy and Peace Building Fellowship Programme. And after everything you've said,
Okay, so Charmaine's been chosen to take part in a fellowship program in the Centre for Democracy and Peace. And as you'll note here, I'll just pop it up on the screen. Right Honourable Sir Jeffrey Donaldson, Director for the Centre for Democracy and Peace Building. Yeah, Jeffrey's a director in that group, actually, along with Liam Maskey. Alex Maskey's brother, is what I understand. John Finucane's actually also part of the Centre for Democracy and Peace. John Finucane from Sinn Féin. Whenever I look at the participants from the unionist community in the Centre for Democracy and Peace, what you will note is you'll note that they're pretty much of a liberal background. They're pretty much of a progressive, quote unquote, background. They're not for conservatism or defending, you know, Judeo-Christian values, the cornerstone of which is free will. Choose this day whom or what you will serve. Choose this day what you want to do. In other words, you have the free will to do whatever you want. I mean, what's coming down our line in this world right now? It's coming down our line that well, it's dictatorship. It's not free will. You don't, you know, if we look at what's coming down our line with these this American-driven liberal hegemony, well, what we're seeing is the potential to be living in an open prison, completely controlled by these people. We never, ever, ever voted for this. We never give our politicians the right to do this. But anyway, let's play on. We're just making some commentary as we go, just letting you know that this lady's now a fellow at Jeffrey Donaldson's Peace Group, to which he's a director. Figures.
that makes complete sense. But what does that aspect of your work entail?
This has just recently happened, and it's been amazing to even be chosen to be on that programme. There's only 3 community workers on that, and 3 of them actually are women. So the rest of them are MLAs or business or entrepreneurs. So it's been really, really good for me to try and speak particularly.
So there's only 3 women on that fellowship programme. 3 women. Where's the men? Are men excluded from this type of thing nowadays? What about conservative men? What about people that believes in Judeo-Christian values? Free will, as I say. What about people who have conservative principles? What about people who are real unionists? Why are they never invited onto these programs? And what we've seen within this is that Charmaine is being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. Jeffrey Donaldson Peace Group is also being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. Now, when you look at the accounts of Jeffrey Donaldson's Peace Group, there was a small amount of money, like say 50,000. It wasn't a big, or it was a 75,000. Don't quote me on that. It was small beer compared to some of the funding that some people get. But what it now looks like is that the subsidiary meaning the offshots from the Peace Group that is there in existence, subsidiaries are also being funded by the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. And if you were to look at one group, you would never quantify the exact amount that is coming into this country to undermine our society. Is this a G2 operation? The MI5 of Ireland in here undermining our society, taking away our foundation, trying to teach our women on the shite, the absolute nonsense that fills the head of the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. Let's play on.
The MLAs and younger MLAs about the role that women have in society, and speaking to MLAs themselves who were women, and really, chatting through the challenges and difficulties that we all face in terms of our day-to-day lives and our work. And I know a couple of the MLAs are now particularly keen to get involved in our project.
So there we go, people. And you can popping this up from Muriel Brush, and I hope there you go. So we've actually interacted with the live chat this evening. I have to say it's been fun. We've stayed a wee bit later. We've been here for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and the numbers are still high. But look, people, there you go. I mean, that's just a taster of what it is that we see that is happening before our very eyes. And here we go. Where's the money coming from? US, EU. Muriel, the truth of the matter is that it is coming from all three sources. It's coming from Canada. It's coming from Australia. It's coming from New Zealand. Now, if you look at Australia, Canada, and New Zealand in terms of the Western world, WEF puppets, World Economic Forum puppets, run by the World Economic Forum, those three countries, they're the most totalitarian countries in the Western Hemisphere. And what you'll see is that, didn't Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum say that Justin Trudeau was economic forum, and in fact he said that they infiltrate the cabinets and they've got most of the Canadian cabinet right now. But these people are not on your side or my side or anyone else's side. But isn't it interesting that, there's a fund here in Northern Ireland that is being funded from Canada, which is totalitarian right now in terms of the Trudeau government, the Australian government, and also the New Zealand government, Jacinda Ardern. I mean, if you listen to a speech from Jacinda Ardern just a few days ago, I nearly fell off my seat. She is worse than communist China in what it is that she's proposing. I mean, this is a lady who's the head of the New Zealand government that said that we are your only source of truth. Imagine that. Imagine a politician telling you that we're your source of truth. Nobody else says we are your source of truth. I mean, what type of totalitarianism is that? And that's exactly what's infecting the good ship unionism here in Northern Ireland, which is infecting the United Kingdom, which is trying to break up the United Kingdom. And there we go. There is, I'm going to call it an operation. And nobody, until I'm convinced, until I'm shown, until that, I'm asking a question. I'm asking real questions. Are the Irish government, through the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs, are they undermining Northern Ireland society? Is that what they're doing? Because I believe they are. I actually believe they are. And it's up to them to come and tell me that they're not. I hope that you understood exactly what it is that we've produced this evening. I hope that it didn't go on too long. Well, it went on for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Let's just say the numbers have stayed high. Anything that we've said here, we can prove, we can stand by, we can stand on the evidence that we have to show you, to show others. And if anybody wants to come and talk to us about the evidence or contradict or dispute what it is that we are saying, I'm saying feel free, come along, have a chat with us. We'll show you, we'll enlighten you. The truth will set you free. Isn't that what they say? Isn't that what they say? So here we go from Billy King. They're working in every aspect. I see it firsthand every day. And Muriel Brush, I agree, John. Yes, undermining Northern Ireland society. To see, sorry about this. This is from Isabel Montgomery. John, what about what's going on in the Waterfront Hall? Isabel, you need to enlighten me because I don't really know what's going on in the Waterfront Hall. If you just give me an indication, maybe we know. Thanks very much, Carl. So we're going to play us out with two little things, right? I'm going to ask the people that are on our live chat to, tell us what you think about this evening. Tell us, like Carl's saying here, was it informative? Do you think that Restore UK is doing a good job? Do you think that Restore UK has been, well, a breath of fresh air in terms of enlightenment over the years and all the things that we've done. Are we the type of people that you should, you should get behind? Are we the type of people that you should help fund? Because believe me, people, there is an awful lot of time and effort put into actually doing what we do. And, I mean, I have to work, I have to eat, have to pay my bills, have to pay for the fuel, the costs are getting through the roof and everything else. And if you can help our work, if you can help our work in any way, just a small amount, remember we're going to the Supreme Court for and on behalf of you. We're advisors in that case, and literally, we won't be deterred. You can see that it's way too past it's too late for us. We have exposed so many things that there's no turning back now. Our only game is to continue on to push, question these people, to pour over their every word, to examine their every move, and to literally ask the questions that need to be asked for and on behalf of people from within the United Kingdom. So if you can help our work, British Unionist People's Voice, there's a PayPal link. The Restore UK on Facebook, there's a PayPal link. The YouTube channel, there again is a PayPal link. If you can help our work, please do. And we will not shirk in our responsibilities in order to let you know the truth and in order to ensure that, when trying to undermine a society of people who really care, you underestimate the main thing. You underestimate your main obstacle, and that is that people do really care. And if that's what you want to do, bring it on. Bring it on. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to play as a little short video clip here. This is the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs, located just off the Malone Road in Belfast, where we exposed last year. I think it was about March of last year, of 2021. Now, we know a fair bit about this building. We haven't went into detail about the exact details of this building. But what we're going to say is that this is the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. And what I want to do is on the words of the lady at the gate whenever that I went one day and rapped the door and asked them, could I get a letter to Simon Coveney? That's the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. Those are the people that are funding. Those are the people that people are hiding and omitting to say Irish whenever they say Department for Foreign Affairs. What is it that they're hiding? Do they not want people to recognize that they're funding things that are detrimental to our society? Is that what they're hiding? I'm going to play this, and then we'll play us out with something which will put a smile on everyone's face, something that would actually, I'm going to say, glorify. Maybe glorify is a bad word after talking about glorifying terrorism, but something that would show the best of unionism here in Northern Ireland. So I'm going to play this clip, and then we'll play another clip, and it's from the Mourne Young Defenders, and it was at a rally for the union on the 6th of December in 2019. I was the man at the back of the hall that was actually filming this entire event, and I have to say that we've got all the footage here, and this is a small clip from that footage, and I have to say that what it does is it showcases the best of Northern Ireland in terms of the musical ability of the Mourne Young Defenders whenever they played that night at the rally for the union in the Ulster Hall. So first and foremost, the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs off the Malone Road in Notting Hill in Belfast. This is their building. Now, it's what they do from this building is now in question. And it has to be in question from anyone that would see these people funding certain things, which which has serious questions to be asked. They really do. We're going to do a stream all about it very, very soon, but we're playing us out with two things. Firstly, this. Leave your messages in the live chat if you can help. If you can put any money into your PayPal, please do. and really tell us what you think of what it is that we do. All's left to be said is thanks very much for staying along. Thanks for keeping the numbers high from right across the platforms, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks very much for that, David. The voice in the wilderness, outstanding, John. Thanks to you and the background folks. Thank you. Thank you very much, David. We really, really appreciate it. So it's people like yourselves and other people that says these things, that keeps the wind in our sails, and which means that we will never, never, ever be deterred from exposing corruption from within our own community. So playing us out. Here we go, and we'll see us all again very, very soon.
Oh, the residents here? There's no one lives here. Is this where Simon Coveney and whatnot would come to?
Who am I speaking to?
Right, well, you see, look, we're unionists, basically, right? We run a citizens' journalism. This is what we're involved in, a thing called Restore UK. Right. And, we've just been told that this is the Department for Irish Foreign Affairs. And I'm just wondering if this is somewhere that I can drop a letter that Simon Coveney would get.
Well, your best bet is to drop it into the British Irish Secretariat.
Right, okay. Whereabouts is that, love?
40 Linnenhall Street.
40 Linnenhall Street, yeah.
Second floor.
Right, okay. But this isn't the building. We were given this information that this was the Irish Department for Foreign Affairs. Is that right?
No. It's not, no.
Is this not to do with Ireland, this place? I think it is, because we know people that's been here in meetings.
Yes, yeah, I mean it is, I suppose you could say, but it isn't a department, it's not.
Right, so who would be here under normal circumstances?
Nobody from the government.
No, nobody from the government, okay. Right, fair enough. No, again, we're just wanting to know, again, so, yeah. Well, look, I mean, if I were to drop a letter in here, could we get it to Simon Coveney? And all we wanted to do is we want to invite him on our show, basically, to come and talk to British Unionists. What we think that he's not really taking into consideration British Unionist concerns over this protocol.
Yeah,
do you know?
Well, no, absolutely. Your best bet is the official office is 40 Linnenhall Street, second floor.
Right, okay.
It's the British Irish Secretary.
We'll drop it there. But listen, thanks very much for coming out. And look, and I hope it didn't disturb you or anything.
No, you're great.
Not meaning to. Thank you very much now. Thank you. Bye-bye.